Okay, so in chapter 17, section 3, we're going to start talking about adaptive immunity. And the adaptive immune system is also called the acquired immune system. It's immunity that you get over time or that your body adapted to. It's a specialized system of cells and a processes that eliminate pathogens by preventing their growth. So it basically is working to prevent pathogens from coming in and infecting your body. And your adaptive immune system actually has four things that I like to remember. It is specific, it has diversity, it has memory, and it's able to discriminate between different things. And let me explain those. So the first one I want to explain is that it's specific, and that means it reacts differently to every antigen that might come into your body. An antigen is a foreign material, foreign particle that comes in. So it also has diversity. It's willing and able to respond to a large and diverse group of pathogens. It also has memory. It can remember what it's fought off in the past. And it's discriminating, meaning it can discern between your own body and between things that might just be coming into your body. So, um, adaptive immunity is an immunity that occurs after you've had an exposure to an antigen. And again, an antigen is a molecule that stimulates a response from your immune system. It's something that doesn't belong there. So try to keep in your mind that antigen is basically the bad guy, and it gets your immune system going. Okay, so when we talk about this, we need to talk about T cells and B cells. And I think I found a cartoon that I kind of liked on this website, Ask a Biologist. Okay, so this was a very simplified version of it, but lymphocytes are white blood cells that are formed in the bone marrow. And the B cells, so B cells and T cells are the two that you're going to want to remember. B cells finish their development in the bone marrow, which is why they have this B. And the T cells finish their development in the thymus, which is why they have a T. So they attack these cells attack specific targets, and then lead to memory cells eventually that will protect your body from reinfection. So they have very specific receptors. I want to go back to the book's picture here. They have very specific receptors on on the outside of them, and that helps them to recognize the foreign molecules that are there. And they, once they have totally matured, they will be found in like the spleen and the lymph nodes, where they basically generally reside until they're needed to fight off an infection. So B cells, let me go back to this one. B cells will end up targeting pathogens floating loose in the blood and the lymph, and T cells will target cells that are already infected. So the next section of your book is talking about the humoral immune response. And what are the humorals? Basically, those are the interstitial spaces and fluids in between organs. So between an organ, various organs or muscle or body tissue, it's not hollow or empty or dry. There is actually fluid and a little bit of space. So that is like where your humoral immune like response would take place. So B cells have receptors that bind to different antigens. Remember, those are the bad things that are coming in, and they migrate to the lymph nodes and the lymphatic organs. Then the B cells will actually bring the antigen in it can do it by endocytosis. And the helper T cells, who have also come in contact with different antigens, will get the neighboring cells to release cytokines. And if you remember, the cytokines are the alarm system that basically say there's an infection going on. This will trigger the B cells to start making more clones of themselves, and some B cells will become plasma, and others become memory cells, and that's barely any, but the memory cells are the ones that are going to remember long term what got fought off so that your response time is faster later. And we'll talk about that more later. Once a B cell with antibodies that matches a specific antigen is produced, that B cell will go on to activate other helper T cells. So antibodies are produced by white blood cells, and they match a specific antigen. And if the body is ever infected with the same antigen, they'll divide and make antibodies. And antibodies live in your body fluids, like I think I maybe found a picture of this. I don't know that I did. Here's one, but let me see if we don't need this one. Okay. So antibodies, this isn't a good picture of it. I didn't bring one up, but antibodies will live in body fluids like your breast milk, gastric juices, blood, your mucus, and they bind to different pathogens and mark them for destruction. So they leave a marker on them and get them, and a flag on them that says, hey, this cell needs to be killed. And after they're marked, different phagocytes, remember those are the big guys that will come around and give them a hug and basically eat them, consume them. They'll come around and consume those pathogens that are marked. And this stimulates inflammation in your body. Antibodies, by the way, can also coat pathogens and block their binding sites so they can't enter other cells. So that's another strategy, is that they will coat the outside of the pathogens so that the pathogens can't bind to anything. So there's active immunity and passive immunity, are two different types of immunity here that you need to know. So active immunity is natural, meaning you actually get sick. You actually get infected with something. This might sound like, well, yeah, I don't get sick that often. No, you're getting sick and infected with things literally all day, every day. These guys are coming into your body. And so your body is always fighting off different things. So you might have a strong immune system, or you might be pretty good at like not introducing extra things because you keep pretty clean and you have good hygiene. But you are fighting off these guys all the time. The other type of active immunity is when you get a vaccine, you're getting a dead or very weakened version of the illness so that your body can learn how to fight it off, and then your response time is very quick later. Passive immunity goes from the mother to the developing baby. So we have I think I did have a picture here. When a mom is vaccinated or she gets her own, oh, she has a little like band-aid on her arm. I didn't notice that before. Or when she already has certain antibodies and the baby is growing inside of there, they're sharing blood, they're sharing fluids. The mom is passing and giving all of those antibodies to her developing child. And then when the baby is born, they already have whatever, immunities the mother had. But in addition, the mother continues to give those immunities to the baby through the breast milk. So that is a type of passive immunity where the baby didn't directly get sick, nor did the baby's own body necessarily develop those. It was passed from the mother to the child. Another type of passive immunity can be given artificially, and an example of this is like if, say, your dog was bitten by a rattlesnake, or you were, you can go to the doctor and they have clones of antibodies that somebody else, built, but they're just given to you. And so that's the antibodies. That's different than this, where you are given a weakened version of the infection. This is like you're given a weakened or a strong, version of the antibodies. So we are going to go back to the textbook, and so a few different ways that antibodies target different pathogens that come in. They can bind to it, they can engulf it, they can essentially punch holes in it. So these are all different ways that is handled. Okay. So in cell mediated immunity, this is where T cells, they can't recognize pathogens, but they can recognize an antigen. And they can't, like, they will, when they find antigens, they will engulf them and they will break them down. There are also dendritic cells that will mop up pathogens and present them on their surfaces. So I wanted to show you a picture of that. I think I brought up, I apologize that I'm a little out of order. So you can have cells that will, this is like a T cell and a dendritic cell together, that they're working to, gather the pathogens and then sweep them up and get rid of these pathogens. So T cells have a lot of functions. They respond to antigen presenting cells. So a cell that has antigens all over it, they will respond to those. They'll induce immune responses when they release like cytokines and they set off that alarm system. They'll also stimulate the B cells to start having a response. And they can directly kill infected cells, and they're also really good at regulating the overall response so that you don't start attacking your own body system. So helper T cells, there was a difference between, let me see if I brought up a picture of this, between helper T cells and like cytotoxic T cells. And I don't know that I brought up a picture of those. I don't know that I found a good picture of that. So we'll stay here. Maybe it was down here. I don't know. Okay, that's just a dendritic cell and a T cell. Okay, so we'll stay here because this works too. Remember that helper T cells mainly help other T cells of the immune system, whereas cytotoxic T cells kill cells infected with viruses, and they actually do this with cancers as well. So antigen presenting cells can teach T cells to recognize the antigens, and like for example of those of cancer. So then the cytotoxic T cells will then cause the cell death by apoptosis. And if you remember back, apoptosis is when they basically program a cell for death. And in this case, a lot of times with cancer cells, that is done by punching a hole in the cell. So eventually, your body develops an immunity memory. So I want to go back to the book and go down to the memory. So what happens is a memory cell is an antigen specific like B or T cells that will circulate for years or decades or even sometimes through your whole life. So if you're given an infection or you get an infection, say you get a certain cold or you get a certain vaccine, that same cold or that same vaccine might actually infect your body again and again and again. But say in the case of a vaccine, you're like, well, I got vaccinated for chicken pox, but I never got chicken pox. So maybe it's not necessary to give that vaccine to my child. Well, there's a very, very good chance that you did get chicken pox. A large number of times you got chicken pox, but because you had the vaccine in your system, your body was able to fully fight it off again because you had the long term memory cells in your body on how to fight that vaccine. Or, I'm sorry, to fight that intruder. So this is a little chart in your book, and it's not my favorite, but it's okay. The first time, um, and this is why I don't like it. It makes it seem like it's longer, but this is like it going faster. Okay, so basically, your if you're infected, if you are infected the first time with a certain illness, it can take a very long time for your body to recover, to develop, have that whole immune response, and to develop memory against it to come in the future. However, the next time you're infected with it, your memory cells are activated and they will fight off the infection much faster than it did the first time, to the point in many cases that you might not even feel sick at all, or you feel slightly sick or extra tired or something like that, but it's not the actual illness at all. This is the purpose of having vaccines, and this is why your body keeps those memory cells around so that they can fight faster for you the next time. So you have the lymphatic system, and the main job of the lymphatic system is basically to move your white blood cells along, to move them around. So this bathes the tissue. It doesn't contain erythrocytes, which are the red blood cells, and white blood cells are actually a lot bigger than red blood cells because they have a nucleus, but they usually can be found in like tonsils, adenoids, thymus, spleen. So, our actual white blood cells, the cells that fight the invaders in our body, is actually only about 0.1% of like the cells in our body. It's not of our blood cells, excuse me, not the cells in our body, just even the blood cells. There's very, very, very few of them at all. And remember that these grow in the bone marrow, and the B cells will finish growing in the bones, and the T cells finish growing in the thymus. That's going to be important. I want to go down to what some people do not want to talk about. Actually, this isn't even a picture of malt. Oh, I think I brought one up. Okay. Yes. This is the mucosal, I'm saying that wrong, I'm so sorry, mucosal immune system is often called the MALT system, which stands for the mucus associated lymphoid tissue. So it's all the tissues in your body that have mucus, which I know that's everyone's favorite topic. Mucus occurs in your nasal passages, nose, pharynx, esophagus, gastrointestinal, like, your stomach and intestines, respiratory, and your urogenital tract, which, is obviously where you urinate, and your reproductive, your genital tracts. Okay, so we have mucus in those areas so that they can make a barrier against the many things that will try to go through an open space in your body and invade. So the skin cells in that area basically will sometimes end up absorbing antigen presenting cells, and your immune system will have to use their response to deal with them. But the essential part is that for instance, T cells might come through the lymphatic system into your digestive tract and get rid of some pathogens that might want to be there. So that's how your malt is working. The last thing before we end, and it's very short, is immune tolerance, and it's just something to be aware of. Basically, you want a balance of protecting against pathogens versus invading your own body. Your immune system is very powerful, but it needs to be kept in check. If it's not kept in check, then you might think like the more of these cells, the better, but actually, to a certain extent, then they can have the possibility of attacking things that you don't want attacked in your body. And we will talk about that. So, this amazing system that you have does need to be kept in check in your body. And in the next section of the chapter, we'll talk about that.